Hey guys, I'm like way overdue to do this video, so I wanted to talk about today the top 5 things I love about the 8th generation Nissan Maxima, which is the 2016 through 2021, as well as the top 5 things I don't like about this car. Just to give you a little bit of history of where I'm at in this journey of this car, it's got 140,000 miles on it. Most of that is highway. I've had this car just about from new. It was a demo, so when I actually took possession, it had 5,900 miles on it. Let's see. Yeah, it's all highway miles. I did replace the transmission around 127,000 miles. That's a whole other video. You guys want to check that out if you are having issues with your transmission and just want to get some details about what that looks like. But this is my 3rd Maxima that I've owned in my life. I've had pretty much every other generation there was. I had a 4th gen, I had a 6th gen, and my 6th gen was the one that I put in the most work to, kind of, modify it and do, just some little things that I liked. So let's kick off the first thing that I actually like about this car. I actually like the highway manners. I feel like this car does really well on the highway. The fuel economy, I think, I can usually get about probably pretty much around like the 30. I mean, my average speed is probably much higher than most people, but we won't talk about that. But it will sip around like between 28 and 30 miles per gallon on the highway. I think it has great acceleration when you need it. It's quiet, so I don't have any issues with this car on the highway. Another thing that I can say I dislike, or one thing I can say I dislike about this car, is the roof rail discoloration. Let's take a look at that. A lot of people I've seen make comments like, the roof rail starts out black and then it starts to get this fading effect, which is just complete crap. So I'm probably going to get some vinyl, like a glossy vinyl strip. I think I've seen some on Amazon for like, I don't know, maybe like 20 bucks, like a whole, I don't know how many feet, but I'll probably get a couple strips of that and correct that. But it just kind of sucks. Like, we had the same problem with the 6th gen where the stripping would just kind of fade away and just be ugly, and sometimes it would actually fall off. So let's move on to the next item. All right, so the other thing I love about this car is I think it has a really great design. I think the lines are some of the best that, have been on a Maxima. And I really think it just vibes well. Let me pause. Sorry, it figures as soon as I try and do this video, like every piece of noise wants to happen. But anyway, so I think it has great design lines. Overall, I'm not unhappy with the looks. Like, there's not that one angle of this car that I don't like. I did add the Spoiler King spoilers and stuff like that, so check them out. But I think it has great design lines overall. So let's move on to the next item. So the one thing I will say that I do not like about this car, which is kind of hard to see on this one, when you have the chrome showing, I don't have the midnight grille, but when the chrome is showing, especially around like the edge that meets the bumper and then everything else, it looks like it has a smile. Like, I hated that. Like, I don't like smiling cars. Like, Mazda does that. They make all their cars with that big ass smile on it. Like, I hated that. So I do plan on trying to get that midnight grille at some point. That way, this whole plasti dip crap, can just not be a thing. But yeah, that's the other thing I dislike about this car. Next on the list of things that I like is I really like the way this cabin is designed. I feel like it hugs you. It does feel like, I think I used to read that they modeled this interior like kind of like after an airplane. So you kind of feel like everything's kind of close to you. I think the controls are just in a perfect location. I have no complaints about the dash layout and just how everything is structured. I think it's probably one of the better dashboards that the Maximas have ever had in their existence. So let's go on to the next dislike. If you're one of those DIY type people you will definitely appreciate this, and you have to excuse my dirty mats. The cabin filter location is terrible. It's like behind this thing, and you can't remove it without practically destroying it. Like it's a very pain in the butt to actually change. Like, I hate the idea of paying the dealer hundreds of dollars, or I don't know how much it is, maybe like $80 or $90 to do it. But you know, the couple times I've done it, yeah, it's a process. You know, and like I said, it's the opening isn't even the same size as the filter. So the filter is actually smaller than the opening. So if you're ever trying to do that, trust me, it is a process. All right, let's move on to the next like. All right, next on the list is remote start. I really like the fact that this car has remote start. Remote start, as many of you know, was not a thing that came with cars. You know, usually it was an aftermarket option. I remember in previous cars, like, you know, I would have had to go aftermarket and just didn't want to do that. So it's nice to have a factory integrated remote start on this car. So that's absolutely one of my favorite things about this car, and it does come in handy on some cold days and hot days when you're, you know, approaching your car and don't want to get into an ice box or hell. All right, let's move on to the next item. One thing I'm not happy about is this car on the passenger seat does not have full movement. Like, it's an option, because I can kind of see the cutout right there. So the passenger seat on this car only goes forward, backwards, and does the, you know, the back portion goes forward and backwards, but there's no way to lift it. And, you know, my wife constantly complains because she's, you know, she's not short, you know, by any means. She's more like 5'7". But she feels like she's sitting on the floor, and I get it. You know, it's really low. So that's one of my gripes about this car, is that, you know, you got to get like a package to get a full motion passenger seat, which just seems weird to me. All right, next item. Okay, the next item that I really like about this car is the engine. The VQ35 is one of the most reliable engines like you can get. You know, Nissan definitely did it right when they created that engine. I don't know a lot of people that have had like failures of the engine or anything like that. I mean, yeah, you know, certain things fail, but my experience with the VQ35 over the years is that it is a pretty rock solid engine. And yeah, I would take it, you know, any day over a lot of other engines out there. So that's definitely on my top 5. Actually, I think I said top 5 things, but this is really top 6 list. So on to the next item. My biggest disappointment in this car is the transmission, the CVT transmission. As you guys know, I had to replace my transmission, which I was not happy about. The CVT is just not meant for sporty driving, like high performance, you know, aggressive driving. It's just not. You know, if you're the type that does more, you know, relaxed driving and stuff like that, you know, you're not pushing it hard, yeah, this is a great transmission for you. But, you know, if you're anything like me that sometimes likes to have spirited driving styles and stuff like that, you know, it's just not a good idea, like, to push it. You know, and it's a shame because there's so many sporty things about this car. You know, you get the paddle shifters, you know, you got the Manumatic, you know, shift gate and everything, but if you use it too much, then you risk damaging the transmission. So that's one of the things I do not like about this car. I will probably never buy a car with a CVT again after this one. You know, I'm going to drive this car until it falls apart, but my next car or anything I buy, it will not be a CVT. So all right, let's move on to the next one. I'm going to do this next item kind of a 2-for-1. One thing I like about this car, I love the fact that it comes with LED headlights. I love that. Now, unfortunately, all the other lights that this car comes with, other than the running lights for the tail lights, which you can't really see, they're halogen. So I had to spend lots of money upgrading these lights, you know, all the lights, the reverse light, the turn signal, the fog lights. I mean, the fog light upgrade alone was like over $200 to get a decent product in there. So I'm kind of disappointed. You know, I know they can't necessarily put all the same bells and whistles on a Nissan as they would an Infiniti, but it's kind of like, don't half-ass it either. Like, if you're going to give me LED headlights, then give me LED everything. Like, you know what I mean? So all right, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or, you know, anything about the little upgrades I did, shoot me a comment or shoot me an email, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. Please think about subscribing, bring back more material, because I may be doing a brake job eventually, and any other maintenance that I do, I'll record that as well. All right, guys, have a good one.